Our story begins with the genesis of a primordial pearl, formed from the spiritual essence of heaven and earth over a millennium. However, due to its absorption of chaotic spiritual energy, both celestial and demonic forces became entwined within it. If left unchecked, this entanglement was destined to culminate in disaster. Consequently, Yuanshi Tianzuan dispatched Tai Jinren and Shen Gongbao to pacify it. Yet, how could a primordial pearl, born from such profound spiritual energy, be easily subdued? In mere seconds, it morphed into a colossal monster. Before Tai could recover from his astonishment, the creature propelled him hundreds of meters with a single strike. Witnessing this, Shen Gongbao charged forward, undeterred. But the pearl's power was not to be underestimated. He too was thrown back dozens of meters. Shen Gongbao immediately lashed out with his thunder whip to ensnare the creature, but the pearl absorbed his lightning, channeling it back through its arm, thus returning the attack to Shen Gongbao. With a disfigured face, Tai angrily lunged at the pearl. He assumed his fighting stance and effortlessly parried 2 punches, then summoned his dust whisk to bind the pearl's hands. To meet Tai's challenge, the pearl simply sprouted 4 additional arms, leaving Tai instantly dumbfounded. The pearl continued to pummel Tai while elegantly grooming its hair with its free hands. Realizing his disciples were no match for the pearl, Yuanshi Tianzuan had to intervene personally. With a mere wave of his hand, the Qiankun cauldron descended from 10,000 meters above, crashing heavily upon the pearl. Thus, the primordial pearl was successfully subdued. Yuanshi Tianzuan then utilized the 3-flavor true fire to refine it into 2 orbs, one called the spirit orb and the other the demon orb. However, the demon orb's malevolent energy proved too potent and indestructible. Therefore, Yuanshi could only place a heavenly tribulation curse upon it, decreeing that in 3 years, heavenly lightning would descend to obliterate the demon orb. Yuanshi then sealed both orbs within a treasure lotus. Since Li Jing was destined by fate, the spirit orb could be reincarnated as his 3rd son. Yuanshi entrusted this crucial task to Tai Jinren. At Qintang Pass, Li Jing's wife, Lady Yin, was due to give birth. By sheer coincidence, an apple fell and knocked Tai unconscious. He immediately rose and introduced himself, stating, "I am Tai of the Golden Light Cave on Mount Qinkuan." Soon came the day for Lady Yin to give birth. Tai calculated the precise timing and prepared to open the treasure lotus to implant the spirit orb into Lady Yin's womb. But just then, a servant brought a pot of potent wine. Tai quickly gestured for the servant to remove it, but when he turned back, the servant had already departed. Glimpsing the aromatic wine on the ground, Tai succumbed to temptation and began drinking. Little did he know this indulgence would lead to great misfortune. The next moment, Tai passed out, completely inebriated. The servant attempted to steal the treasure lotus but was burned by its protective aura. Refusing to yield, he tugged with all his might, but the lotus remained unyielding. This servant, unbeknownst to them, was actually being controlled by Shen Gongbao. Meanwhile, Lady Yin was enduring a difficult labor, suffering immensely. Li Jing paced anxiously outside, then rushed to the courtyard, only to discover Tai unconscious from drink. The servant tried to punch the alcohol out of Tai, but Li Jing intervened, deeming such behavior improper. Then, the midwife announced that Lady Yin could not hold on much longer. Hearing this, Li Jing became energized and delivered hundreds of punches to Tai's stomach. When Tai awoke, he hurried to the treasure lotus. A password dial materialized, but Tai froze. He couldn't recall the password. Now, he could only resort to desperate attempts. His first try was incorrect, but fortunately, the lotus offered 4 more chances. However, Tai failed 3 more times with the same incorrect password. If the 5th attempt failed, the lotus would automatically lock and remain inaccessible for another 10 years. Just then, terrible news arrived from the midwife. Lady Yin had fainted from the arduous labor. Hearing this, Tai frantically pressed his hand on the lotus. The next moment, it successfully unlocked by fingerprint. Now, he needed to place the spirit orb into Lady Yin's womb, but the servant distracted Tai with news of a tavern's grand opening sale while secretly preparing to steal the spirit orb. The next second, Li Jing caught him red-handed. Only then did Tai discover a puppet talisman affixed to the servant's back. He tore it off, and the servant collapsed weakly. But by then, both the spirit orb and demon orb had been stolen by someone else. When they realized this, it was too late. The midwife had also been controlled by a puppet talisman. She flung the demon orb into a pre-prepared magic array. Runes rapidly spread throughout the formation. Although Li Jing destroyed the array's stone tablet in time, the formation was already complete, and the runes were imprinted in midair. Nothing could now prevent the demon orb's descent into the world. As the runes flew into Lady Yin's womb, a maid soon rushed anxiously to Li Jing, carrying a child. Looking closely, they were shocked to see Lady Yin had given birth to a ball. Both were startled. Tai knew he had caused significant trouble, but suddenly, the demon orb sprouted 2 eyes, then grew hair, and leaped from the maid's arms to the ground. The orb burst into flames as its physical form transformed into blazing fire. Nezha, who should have been the spirit orb reincarnated, had instead become the demon child's descent into the world. The newborn Nezha was immediately consumed by malicious intent and began assaulting the people. Citizens fled in terror. Witnessing this, Tai quickly cast out the universal ring as he chanted incantations. The ring ensnared Nezha within it. No matter how Nezha thrashed about, it was futile. Finally, the universal ring sealed Nezha's spiritual power, and he fell from mid-air to the ground. The ring merely temporarily suppressed Nezha's demonic nature. If he fully transformed into a demon in the future, he would undoubtedly embark on a killing spree. Tai felt compelled to eliminate it. But suddenly, Lady Yin appeared, shielding Nezha. Even when Nezha bit her palm, she displayed no resentment, only comforting him not to be afraid. He was the child she had carried for 3 years. She cared not whether he was the spirit orb or demon orb. To protect Nezha, Li Jing promised everyone present that he would strictly discipline Nezha and never allow him to leave the house. But even so, Nezha would not live past 3 years due to Yuanshi Tianzuan's heavenly tribulation curse on the demon orb. In 3 years' time, heavenly thunder would still claim Nezha's life.
Meanwhile, Shen Gongbao took the spirit orb to the East Sea Dragon Palace, which had become a prison for suppressing sea demons. Countless dragons were also bound there, unable to depart. Shen Gongbao handed the spirit orb to the Dragon King, who then spat out a dragon egg from his mouth. The spirit orb transmuted into spiritual energy and entered the egg. As cracks appeared on the egg, a life hatched out, the Dragon King's third prince, Aobing. Soon, a year passed. Nezha had grown, but being unable to leave home, he could only recline on the roof, gazing at the scenery when bored. Concerned that Nezha might become despondent, Lady Yin came to spend time with him, proposing they play shuttlecock. Hearing of shuttlecock, Nezha immediately brightened. Lady Yin passed the shuttlecock to Nezha. It was his favorite sport and what he excelled at. A soldier suggested Lady Yin don armor before playing, but she chastised him, asking why she would need armor to play with her son. However, the very next moment proved the wisdom of that suggestion. After this lesson, Lady Yin quickly had soldiers bring her armor to wear. Nezha felt a bit embarrassed, but Lady Yin did not give up and encouraged Nezha to play freely. Soon, Lady Yin was breathing heavily from exhaustion. But seeing Nezha happily kicking the shuttlecock made all her effort worthwhile. Just then, soldiers urgently reported that an eel demon had appeared in East Suburb Village and injured over 10 people. Nezha knew his mother could no longer accompany him and looked unhappy. Lady Yin came to comfort him, promising to play with him to his heart's content next time. But Nezha had heard such promises countless times. He appeared defiantly indifferent to his mother, but after she left, he still watched her departing figure reluctantly. What child doesn't desire their parents' attention and companionship? Now only 2 guardian beasts watched the gate. Nezha threw stones at their heads. The guardian beasts mistook their companion for playing pranks and angrily pounced on each other. While they fought, Nezha opened the barrier and escaped. The fighting guardian beasts did not realize Nezha had already fled. People on the street were going about their business, but when they heard Nezha's voice and knew he had escaped again, they scattered as if they had seen a ghost. However, Nezha's behavior greatly incensed some local children. They resolved to teach Nezha a lesson. Nezha stopped pretending and revealed his true form. The children were terrified and fled, and the traps they had set became their own undoing. Carrying pot lids as shields, chased by boulders, launched into the air, bitten by snakes, pursued by hornets, they finally jumped into a urine-soaked mud pit. Nezha, though young, was cunning and outsmarted them completely. He held his belly, laughing heartily. Just as Nezha was about to leave, one child called him a monster.
Nezha loathed being called a monster most of all. In his fury, he kicked a stone toward them. At the critical moment, fortunately, Tai intervened in time to save the child. Li Jing had witnessed the entire scene. To punish Nezha, he shrank the barrier and warned Nezha not to leave the room. Thus, Nezha was grounded. That evening, everyone worried about Nezha's situation. In 2 more years, the heavenly tribulation curse would descend. Lady Yin decided to resign from her official position and take Nezha to see the mountains and waters, spending his last 2 years with him. But Li Jing shook his head, disagreeing with this approach. Seeing this, Tai felt very guilty because Nezha becoming the demon orb was his responsibility. So he decided to take Nezha as his disciple, help him cultivate himself, change his demonic habits, and become a righteous warrior who slays demons. The couple did not want Nezha to be treated as a monster before his death, so they agreed. Early the next morning, when the servant went to deliver food, he was shocked to find Nezha missing. The guardian beasts immediately entered to check. The room was in chaos with no sign of Nezha. They rushed anxiously to report to Li Jing, but just after they left, Nezha jumped down from the roof. Nezha walked out leisurely, but was surprised to find a painting floating in midair. Curious, he reached out to touch the scroll, which seemed alive and absorbed him. After spinning dizzily, Nezha fell onto a grassland. The scroll was the mountains and rivers social diagram, and this was a small world within it. Before Nezha could recover, he heard Tai's voice nearby. Nezha repeatedly called him Fatty. Then, Tai produced the pointing at rivers and mountains brush. With this brush, the world in the diagram could be altered at will. Let me show you the wandering world I've carefully designed. As river water cascaded down, Tai took Nezha on a tour of this small world. They traversed snow-capped mountains and rode across rivers as clear as mirrors. Nezha was soon immersed in this happiness. Seeing his goal achieved, Tai revealed the truth. He wanted Nezha to become his disciple. But Nezha not only refused to bow as a disciple, but also gave him a display of force on the spot. Tai had to demonstrate his skills first. Stones instantly transformed into giant scissors. Fortunately, Nezha was quick to jump onto a rock. The illusion immediately captivated Nezha, and he decided to first learn some basics from Tai. Tai taught Nezha the most fundamental incantations. Nezha immediately began practicing diligently while Tai lay on a rock, sleeping soundly. When Tai woke up, he found Lady Yin had arrived. She wanted to see Nezha, but couldn't find him anywhere. Only when they saw a figure floating on the water did Tai panic. He plunged into the water from the height, regardless of everything. Soon Nezha was rescued. After checking his pulse, they found Nezha could still be saved. So Tai immediately began artificial respiration. He took a deep breath and blew into Nezha's mouth. As the belly grew bigger and bigger, an explosion occurred the next second. After the smoke cleared, Tai discovered he had just saved a large toad, and the mucus stuck to his face was highly poisonous. The poison instantly spread throughout his body. Seeing the scene, Lady Yin covered her belly, laughing heartily. Soon, she transformed back into Nezha's appearance. Tai was amazed. He had clearly taught illusion magic, but how had Nezha learned transformation instead? My goodness, he learned it in just one day. What a prodigy. Tai wanted to retrieve the antidote from his pants, but found his hands couldn't reach. He had to ask Nezha for help. Nezha saw many treasures hidden inside. He had just pulled out a rocket launcher when he accidentally triggered a mechanism. Now it became a literal fire under his backside. Just then, Lady Yin and Li Jing arrived. Li Jing quickly removed his cloak to extinguish the flames on Tai. He still wanted Nezha to become his disciple. Hearing this, Nezha immediately became unwilling. Rather than slaying demons and benefiting all beings, he'd rather simply sleep there. His mother also understood Nezha's grievance. Actually, Nezha had always longed to be accepted by people. When he was young, Nezha had escaped once before. He wanted to befriend other children, but people treated him as a monster. Whenever Nezha appeared, they would flee in terror. Even other children did not welcome him and threw things at him. Faced with such discrimination, Nezha could only keep it bottled up inside. Though grown up now, he still harbored resentment, let alone help them slay demons. At this point, his father had to tell a white lie. Actually, Nezha was the spirit orb reincarnated. His mother also went along with Li Jing's story. Nezha was the spirit orb reincarnated, which was why he had divine strength and was treated as an anomaly by people. Nezha couldn't believe he was actually the spirit orb reincarnated. The spirit orb. Soon, 2 years passed. Nezha trained day and night in the mountains and rivers social diagram. But due to Nezha's excessively destructive power, every time he eliminated demons, he would demolish many buildings. Tai still felt Nezha was too impulsive, so he replayed the scene for Nezha to see what were clearly just a few insignificant skeleton monsters. Nezha had indiscriminately injured many civilians. Faced with Tai's blame, Nezha was indifferent because those weren't real people. But Li Jing felt Nezha was not only too malevolent, but also impetuous and easily angered. So he had Tai take back the red armillary sash and fire-tipped spear. Though reluctant, Nezha returned them. He just wanted to quickly go out and slay demons, but his father forced him to first learn meditation and cultivate his character. Nezha immediately became unwilling, so he stole Tai's brush and escaped. At this time, a sea demon had stolen a dog from the village. Just as it was about to enjoy its meal, Nezha appeared. The sea demon looked at their height difference and couldn't help but laugh. But the next second, it was knocked flying hundreds of meters by Nezha. Knowing it was no match for Nezha, the sea demon transformed into a puddle of water to escape. To catch the demon, Nezha recklessly crashed through people's houses. However, the cunning demon hid in hundreds of water jars. People came to see what was happening, but when Nezha turned around, they fled in terror. "Stop!"